Welcome to the Connected Spirit Podcast, a space where the mystical and the human experience merge, where we explore what it really means to walk a spirit-led path. I'm Courtney Dawson, an ethical medium and mentor, and for as long as I can remember, I have felt the presence of the spirit world. But my journey hasn't been simple. It's been one of self-discovery, healing from religious and emotional trauma, navigating fear, judgment, and the loneliness that comes with embracing something the world doesn't always understand. This podcast is here to take what was once considered woo and bring it into the real lived experience of being human. Because mediumship isn't just something we do, it's who we are. Here we dive into the conversations no one else is having, breaking down misconceptions, exploring the unseen, and normalizing the journey of deep connection. We'll talk about the beauty and the struggle of being a medium. We'll laugh, we'll reflect, we'll go deep. And most importantly, we'll remember who we are, why we're here, and how spirit moves through us all. So if you've ever felt something more, if you've ever questioned the unseen, or if you're simply ready to embrace the fullness of your spiritual path, you're in the right place. Welcome back to the Connected Spirit Podcast, everyone. I have the joy of welcoming back a familiar and much loved guest, Ginette Biro. If you've been with us for a while, you already know how grounded, heart-centered her connection to spirit is. And today we're going to expand even deeper into her world. We're going to be exploring what channeling actually feels like behind the scenes and gently demystifying her work with galactic energies in a way that's human, relatable, and really accessible to those listening. This is really about making the unseen feel less intimidating and more like a natural part of who we are. Ginette, so good to have you back.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Let's go back a little bit in your journey. How did channeling actually unfold for you?
Channeling actually got me by surprise. In my training, I had some wonderful mentors, but I also read a lot of books on different types of mediumship and observed some people channeling. The spiritual church that I was at brought in a channeler at one point, and it was the first time I actually saw someone channel. When this person was channeling, their whole voice changed, the cadence of tone, their movements. It was very animated, like a possession, as we would think of it from movies. Not in a scary way, but just like a completely different being in person. I remember thinking, what is that like? I want to know more about that. Part of me was taken back by, how does that person flip so fast? What's happening to them and what's going on? Is this real? Is this a big show? There's always that piece of discernment floating around. I never had a draw for channeling. I was quite comfortable with mediumship and it made sense to me. I understood it. I got the visions or I heard the thing, and then you share the thing, right? And then one day in a reading, and it was someone that I had read for a couple times before, I was trying to explain what the spirit was saying, and I'd come to know this spirit as well. I was trying to explain it, and the spirit was like, you're not quite getting it right. And she was like, can you just actually move out of the way a little bit? And can I just come directly through you? And I remember thinking, well, yeah, okay. Cause I know who you are and I'm comfortable and whatever. And so what happened in that experience was I had to surrender. There's a certain level of surrender when you go into a reading. You have to show up and then you have to let go. You have to let go of any preconceived idea, desire to give answers. Like you can't control anything at that point. You have to surrender. And what I found is it's like my consciousness moved halfway out of my brain. If I could describe it that way, like when I'm talking to you right now, I'm fully in my brain. In that moment, though, half of it moved out and it allowed space for the other energy to move halfway in. She wasn't moving into my brain. She was actually just merging her energy into my aura and my energetic field. When I did that, she was able to speak through me, but it was still my voice, slightly different cadence, but still me. It wasn't animated. Whatever it was she wanted to say was coming through me at the same time as I was hearing it for the first time. So there was no receive the message or the image or the understanding, then repeat it or interpret and repeat. It wasn't that. It was just direct through. And I remember thinking like, that was channeling, and then after she was done, I felt my energy move fully back into my being. And the interesting thing with channeling is because it happens so seamlessly, I don't always remember all the details of it. As soon as it's completed, I'll get the gist of it, but I'll actually have to go back and watch the recording or listen to it to get the full understanding of what was said. And so that was my first experience of it. My guides were like, okay, so that happened so you can understand what channeling is like. And we would like to bring channeled messages through. I remember thinking like, and it's funny we're talking about galactics today because the two times in my mediumship career that I really was confronted with a moment of, I don't know if I'm just going crazy now or if this crossed the line. Like it was something so new. And I had that when I met my galactics and when they first wanted me to channel. It actually took me about a year and a bit before I was comfortable channeling for people. Even when I finally put it online, I was like, I don't know. Because I remember the judgment I felt when I watched other channelers who were very animated and questioning. I was like, now I'm sitting in that hot seat. Sure, I'm doing it my way. But it was this really weird shift. I had channeled a couple beings like ascended masters before. I had channeled him a couple times, but nothing consistent. When COVID started, these new wonderful guides of mine, I call them the three guides of the light, and they are light consciousness. And they came to me one day when I was in the washroom doing my hair. I find I get a lot of messages when I'm doing my hair. It's interesting. And so they came to me and explained to me that they were light consciousness. They were beings of light, solar photon light. And that first told me how light was conscious. But then they also started to bring me lots of messages. In time, I began to channel them to the point where it becomes seamless connection for me. Most of the time now when I'm channeling, it's the three guides of the light. It's like consciousness coming through. And it's just kind of grown from there. Definitely been an interesting journey. Funny enough, I've been channeling them since COVID. So what was that, 2020, right?
Yep.
And so 5 years. I just recently hosted a retreat and my husband came. He knows what I do and I'll bring through messages at home, but he doesn't sit and take my courses. It's just not his interest. He's supportive, but it's not his interest. In the retreat, there was one point where I was going to do a channeled session in the evening. So I pulled him aside and I was like, hey, you've never actually seen me channel, have you? And he's like, no, I haven't. I explained to him, I don't want you to think anything is weird or wrong and nothing weird or possessive happens, but I just move my consciousness out of the way and then the messages come direct through. And what was interesting is he actually found it to be very soothing and said he noticed a difference in the energy as it came through, that it was different from mine. So it's just been this interesting evolution of channeling for me that really caught me by surprise.
I love that part of your path. It really sets a tone for where we're going to go next. So let's talk a little bit about what that channeling actually looks like now for you. There's the mediumistic aspect, there's the human moments, right? Now, a lot of people think that channeling is something really dramatic. There's physical like the body's really animated, right? There's these big voice tone changes, right? I've seen many of them, and at times it's kind of startled me. I've questioned,
Hmm.
is this genuine? Is this safe? Who or what is actually channeling through that medium?
Hmm.
But for you now, having been doing this for 5 years, what does that actually feel like for you when you're doing it? We know the mind moves out of the way, but what does that feel like now as it's actually grown and evolved?
Yeah, to me, the process is much more seamless. Channeling is similar in that way. I find that I'm starting to be able to remember a little bit more of what comes through, not all the details. When I'm channeling, it feels like an energetic hug or embrace from the guides when they come in that close. And at the same time, it also feels like it is like this cleansing energy that moves through my whole body. So I feel like embraced, but also kind of revitalized when I do. It's really interesting. It used to wipe me out until I got used to the energy. And now I actually find it energizing.
So I'm curious. It reminds me a lot of when I've worked in the trance states. When you're channeling, are you moving into a trance state or is it a different type of altered state?
How would you define a trance state to you?
For me, it would be where my mind is not fully conscious of what is like my conscious mind is not conscious or active, and it's kind of going into almost like a holding space. I might hear a little bit of what's going on, but my brain doesn't register what's happening. So a light trance state could be maybe doing a little bit of inspirational speaking, I have one guide that's worked with me for several years. She'll blend and I can hear what's being said, but I'm not actually creating the words. There may be some slight tonality changes, but I'm still present. I don't do deep state trance. I don't think I've developed that much. But with deep state trance, you're completely unaware of what's happening and you come back, there's no recollection, and
Hmm.
you're having to either watch back a video or someone's telling you what's being said. So for me, trance would be moving into an altered state where your mind isn't fully present in the moment. There is
Yeah.
some sort of outside influence that is imparting their thoughts, their ideas, their objective through your physicality and your mind.
Yeah. I would say it's very similar to that. It's very similar to how you describe
Good.
the light trance because I'm still aware, but I'm not really involved. It's kind of like floating in a fog while you still hear the music. It's the best way I could explain it. It's very soft and it's very peaceful.
And that lets you know that you're actually working with the light,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That is a big telltale sign. So for someone who's new to galactics like myself, I've been hearing about this for, I don't know. Honestly, I saw a big uptick in people talking about galactics and channeling
Mm.
galactics. Funny enough, around COVID.
Interesting. I'm
I
not
did.
surprised.
So are you maybe able to explain a little bit like who are the galactics in the way that you actually the way you understand them?
So the galactics are basically any of the beings or races that are inhabiting planets or different dimensions within our galaxy or galaxies in general, right? One thing I like to give people as a perspective when they're kind of like, oh, more people are now open to the idea of aliens and galactics. But to think of the billions of galaxies that we have, and within those galaxies, there's like unlimited number of solar systems and planets. To think that Earth in this Milky Way galaxy within our solar system is the only inhabited planet out of all of them, a little narrow minded. It's not like there's nothing out there, right?
Agreed. Agreed.
Kate, can I just pause for a sec? I'm losing my thought because I have the three guides coming through right now. Can I pause for a minute and see what they have to
Absolutely.
say? They're tripping up my thoughts. So hold on. They must
And
have
that's
something
okay.
important. Just a moment. I don't know if it'll be a channel or just information. So just hold on.
Okay.
Okay, so they would love to bring information through about galactics and the timing of galactics, but they want to do it in a channel,
Yeah,
if that's okay.
absolutely. I can feel the
Yeah.
energy shift. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're good.
We are the three guides of the light, and we're grateful to bring through these messages for you. We wanted to come in and share the ideas of what truly is out there within the galaxy. For you are now awakening as a collective to an understanding that you are part of something so much more. This has been a natural awakening, something that has not been forced upon you, but has been happening at the optimum time. This awakening is natural. This is for you to awaken within, to allow the shifts in perspectives to make you ready for being able to see the things that maybe you couldn't see before. This does not mean simply looking into higher realms, but seeing the truths of what things really are. This is what we wish to share with you. As you listen to the voice, you can feel our energy surrounding you, not in force, not in fear, but in love and energy. This energy of consciousness runs through each and every one of you. This same energy of consciousness runs through all those within the galaxy. So when you ask about the galactics, you're asking about those that embody consciousness. There is so much consciousness in the cosmos, more than you can imagine, even more than you realize, for not every body requires the same content of consciousness. Yet at the same time, there is also consciousness within planets and galaxies and solar systems. It's a constant cycle between macrocycles and microcycles. You may view yourself as a macrocycle. At the same time, we may view you as a microcycle. but all parts being equally important. The growth of your consciousness is what makes this all possible. This time on your planet of transformation is here because you're willing to awaken the mind. You're awakening the mind from the box that it has been held in. This is where you are gaining your freedom of thought. This freedom of thought is very powerful, and we invite you to see it through a lens of curiosity. Your curiosity will lead you to the path of ascension, for which many of you are already on. We wish to thank you at this time for allowing us to come through.
Thank you.
So as I shift out of a channel to describe what I'm feeling right now, it's like what felt full in my head starts to drift back. And then I feel my consciousness start to come more forward. It's this seamless wave that happens. Interesting that they wanted to come through. They gave me no heads up on that one. So that's funny.
Yeah. So when Ginette and I were talking, there was a shift. She wasn't alone. And when you and I were talking, there was a change in your eyes. I could see energy build up around the face. Now, for those of you listening, you might go, well, what is that? Well, clairvoyantly, you can see energy build up around the channeler or the medium, and it starts to build up within the auric field. And that lets you know there's a presence or presences there. The blending when they come into the auric field, you're absolutely right, is just so seamless. And that really is a testament to the rapport that you with them. Because there's some people that do channeling for novelty's sakes, and there's a little bit of resistance there, but that really speaks to that bond that you have with them. And everybody who's listening, who listened to those words that were being spoken, you can feel the energy behind every single word. The frequency touches you, your energy feels it, and it definitely is a higher vibration, and it's that love essence, right? And it touches you at the deepest part of your core. So you guys can go back and listen to that channel again, because it really is a gift to have somebody do it genuinely and to be in the presence, whether that be physically or just listening on a podcast. To hear that, it really is such a gift. And so the fact that you are here and you're listening to this episode, consider yourself really blessed. So Ginette, thank you so much for bringing them through. It was wonderful.
Yeah, usually they'll give me a heads up, but I think part of what they wanted was to demystify the idea of what channeling is. Everyone does it different, even those that are animated. It's the way it comes through for them when they're authentic. But they wanted to bring that through also, I think, to show how like the spirit world and the galactic energies are always in tune with us, and they're listening and responding, right? And so I think they just really wanted to show the presence and the availability, whether it's channeling or not, but just that they're around. Coming back to your question, going back to the idea that we're not the only inhabited planet in all of the galaxies, it's so true. We're not. And so when we realize that, we can really start to embrace curiosity. When we embrace that curiosity, we start to realize that just like there are so many different people on our planet living in different ways in different countries and continents, there are also lots of different galactic people living in different planets in different ways, right? And so within our solar system, we have some main galactic friends that are really involved in humanity's ascension right now, like Pleiadians, Arcturians, Syrians, Lyrans. Like there's a lot that are really involved with humanity's ascension. And a lot of them work within the realms of what people call the Galactic Federation or the Galactic Federation of Light. I've heard different terms for it. It's a collective working hand in hand with humanity right now, because humanity is destined to be ascending and our consciousness is responding to that. They're coming in to help. And one of the main ways is to guide people individually. So a lot of people now are starting to find that some of their spirit guides are actually starting to reveal who they are, in fact, and they are of a galactic origin. Not all of them, but it's common for people to have a galactic based spirit guide within their group, whatever they call their supportive people on the other side. And what they really want to do is help bring those connections in on an individual level so that as bigger disclosure events happen, people already have some relationship building happening so that they can't be taken over by different narratives that may come out about disclosure. Humanity's ascension into the galactic level of networking versus just global is happening in a way of consciousness. And so that humanity can be a part of it. And so if we take the Pleiadians, which live within the Pleiades star system, the Seven Sisters star system, they've already gone through the ascension process, which is why they're big helpers in helping humanity now go through the ascension process as well, which humanity years from now will then help other places go through the ascension process also. It's all connected in these greater cycles of ascension and awakening.
This is really powerful. Now, for those that are listening, what is the purpose of this specific ascension, though? It's to help humanity. And that ascension, is it to raise their consciousness to that galactic vibration? What does that look like in a relatable sense for someone listening?
So it's basically the opportunity for consciousness to expand and for us to get out of narrow-minded thinking. Many of the souls on our planet right now going through these consciousness shifts are opening up their minds to change the biological capacity of the human to house higher frequency souls. Not only do our spirit energies awaken through our minds, but our bodies also have to be able to balance that frequency that's carried. Just like with mediumship, your body has to acclimate to the frequencies of doing mediumship. It's very tiring at first. And the more you do it, the more you ground and learn your practices, the more you can handle, and it can become more energizing. Same thing goes with awakening consciousness in a collective. The collective bodies, our human bodies, also have to adjust to be able to hold higher consciousness because it's all vibration based, right? With the souls that are here right now, all of us and those that are listening to this, whether you believe in galactics or not is not the question. It's the fact that you're open-minded to ideas like these things means your body is also awakening in its capacity to hold the frequency of your open mind. Souls are here to help humanity ascend, not just in the mind, but also in the body to house higher frequency to be able to be a part of the galactic level of consciousness. Brings in more natural capacities of our gifts that we all actually have. Telepathy, telekinesis, more instantaneous healing, even eventually like moving through time and matter and all of that, right? Like those require higher frequency, but can be housed in the body, but the body has to follow.
Makes perfect sense because I've heard a long time ago, I was told that certain beings, if they're at such a high vibration, if they were to connect with us and our physical body wasn't able to hold that vibration, it could actually, like, you could drop,
Yep.
right? Your body wouldn't be able to hold it. There would be a physical
100%.
response to it, kind of like if you're getting struck by lightning, sort of thing. We're not able to hold that vibration. So the way that you've explained it is absolutely perfect. I'm wondering if you would be able to kind of like, what are some of the misconceptions that people have, like about galactic energy or channeling, that needs to be cleared up or that you'd like to clear up? Because again, I'm somebody who has heard about them, don't know a lot about them. So is there anything there that maybe you'd want to clear up or just kind of set the record straight on?
Yeah. First of all, with channeling, whether you're channeling a spirit guide, an earth-based guide, an ascended master, channeling is not possession because I have to allow it to happen. There is an allowance that for me specifically doesn't happen until I completely trust who I'm connecting with. It's kind of like intimacy or even just really close friends. You don't instantly have that really close friend. It's something that's built over time where then you begin to blend your energy with them or a partner and so on, right? It takes a little time. With channeling too, it's a relationship and it's one that should be balanced in light. And the beings that are wanting to channel through you also need to be conscious of your body energy. Like when I was really sick, they would not channel. They're like, you can't handle our frequency right now. Don't worry, we'll be back. Channeling is not possession like movie make it out to be. So I really want to be clear about that. Now, here's a really interesting thing. I think this even goes with spirit energy. I know some people say there's no darkness in the spirit world. There's no darkness in the galaxies. Like there's some whistleblowers and such that are like there are no bad galactics. And I very much disagree. There's light and dark in everything. Even in the galaxies, there's a lot of beings and races that really want to help humanity. There are some that don't want to help humanity. We have a lot of help from those of the light to prevent those of the dark to be interacting with us, which is a really good thing. And that's a whole deep dive. But not everything is light. However, the energies you choose to move through the day with your intentions, your own energy, your thoughts, create the portal for connection between spirit guides and galactics, right? I want to really demystify that idea that there's no dark. There is dark, and you need discernment, whether you're dealing with spirits or galactics, right? You need discernment. Does the energy feel clear and consistent? If yes, then they are authentic beings. If there's any distortion in any of the energies you're connecting with, something feels really weird and off, then it's not for you to connect with. And that is just you saying no and setting a boundary. We are so much stronger and sovereign than we realize in our energy. That being said, there are so many galactics that really are here helping humanity, inspiring through thoughts, inspiring through synchronistic alignments. They never want to instill fear. Oftentimes, a lot of galactics will wait for a long time before they actually reveal themselves so that you can already build that relationship with them. I learned this very early on when I was comfortable with my mediumship. This was probably about 10 years ago. I remember these three beings that came up and they were all cloaked. They had kind of these, it almost looked like a burlap sack cloak. They wouldn't show me their faces. And they're like, we are some guides of yours and we wish to connect with you. And I was like, okay, show me who you are. And they'd said, you're not ready to see who we are. And I remember thinking at the time, being kind of cocky about it, like, no, I can handle it. They're like, no, we're going to connect with you first. They started teaching me things and sharing things that would happen, building this rapport and beautiful energy. And then about 3 months later, they were like, we're going to show you who we are. And I'm like, okay. So they took their cloaks off and they were three Pleiadian guides. They were very tall looking, but they were bluish. And I remember the bluish energy and color to them threw me off completely. Even though I had already trusted them, what I was visually seeing threw me off and I shut it down. And I actually was like, I quit. I quit mediumship. I quit all of it because this, in my mind at the time, was when mediums go crazy is when they start talking to aliens, right? Like just this story in my head. So I was like, I quit. So I quit for like a month or two. And then I started doing my readings again, but I kept the galactics far away for about 2 years. And then it wasn't, yeah, so it was about 2 years later that they started to come back in and it started to soften. And I had read a lot about galactics where I started to have the information to help me handle it, right? That's what the mind needs. The mind needs pieces of content to take the new experiences and apply them to. They were wonderful guides of mine, right? Some of your spirit guides may very well be galactics, but they are either coming to you as an orb or just as an energy until there's a time in which your frequency shows them that you're ready to see who they actually are. That's something to consider. But again, they won't do it in a way that's ever to make you fearful because they know that if they make us fearful, we shut it down. It slows our ascension and progress.
Beautifully explained, and I agree with everything you're saying. I don't know much about the galactics aside from what you and I are talking about today.
They're
Yes,
reminding me,
please.
there's one more point that they really want to share. One of the big things that the galactics are doing as well is really intervening in major Earth things such as nuclear issues. The amount of times that they have deactivated nuclear systems is significant, and they will continue to because if Earth was to say there was two countries that decided to have a nuclear war, right? The impacts of that would not only be so significant for Earth itself, but the ripple effect of what would happen from Earth into our solar system, as well as our Milky Way galaxy, are profound. And so they have a vested interest, not just in helping humanity, but also preventing the massive ripple effect and destruction that would happen throughout the galaxy. And so they have many times, even when there's been false buttons pressed, they have intervened and turned them off. and they have the capacities to do that. And they will continue to, because the one thing that they are uncomfortable with is the fact that humanity has already figured out how to create nuclear weapons without the consciousness to fully understand the impacts.
And it's interesting you're mentioning that humans don't understand the ramifications of what they're creating. I was just watching something on TV where there was a gentleman who created the atomic bomb. When they did the test, it hit him what he actually created, and he was so disturbed by it.
Yep.
And that backs up the statement that you made.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why having these conversations is so important, because it's like we're putting little bits together and our mind, our consciousness is able to start to assimilate with the shifts that are happening. It's really important. Now, for someone who's listening, maybe they are intuitive, they're already working with the spirit world, but they have an interest in channeling, maybe reaching out to the Galactics, wanting to work with them, but they're doubting their ability to do that. What would you say to them?
I really believe that anybody can. I always use the singing analogy. Everybody can technically sing, some naturally better than others, but everybody can learn tools and techniques to improve their ability, right?
Yeah.
So I think if someone's drawn to channeling, there's a natural pull in your body to do something that you're meant to be doing in some form, right? Whether it's for yourself, whether it's for people. But what I would recommend is not to rush the process of channeling, and really, again, come back to creating a relationship with whichever guide you're going to be channeling or would like to channel first for a while, so that when you're ready to take that surrender, because you're surrendering a big chunk of your energy. And although they can't just take over, that's a vulnerability. In order to really be vulnerable, to allow it to come through with ease, we need to feel safe in that and support it. So you really want to create that relationship first. And then I think channeling begins to happen on its own. That's my experience. I know some people have learned channeling. I have found it something very hard to teach because of my experience with it has just sort of unfolded. So how do I know the way to teach it per se when it can be unique and different for everybody? I think people have the capacity, but I really recommend creating the relationship first.
Excellent. And before we go, let's have a little bit of fun. Would love to ask you a couple questions so people can get to know you a little bit more. What has been bringing you joy lately?
Oh, actually, you know what's amazing? Normally, I am a summertime girl, sun, shorts, bare feet. Like that's my jam. What has been so interesting this fall is I have loved the slowing down of the fall this year. And especially right now, we have this misty rain happening for days. Normally, I don't like that. I am loving it. I went for a walk yesterday in the forest and it was misty rain and it was just me and my dog. And it felt so magical. Everything was alive, vibrant, and fresh. It was the most beautiful thing. I've been loving this totally different perspective of this fall winter energy. It's different than I've ever experienced it. So that is bringing me so much joy.
A show, book, or podcast you're loving right now?
Oh, show, book, or podcast. One show that's completely not spiritual at all is The Diplomat. I don't know if you've watched The Diplomat.
I haven't.
Oh, it's so good. And the reason why I love it so much, it's political, it's pretty fast paced, but the main character, I love her energy because she is just so incredibly uniquely her. She doesn't prescribe to the ultra feminine or the masculine, but it's not that she's neither either. She's quirky, opinionated, but remorseful when needed. She's just so raw and fresh. And I absolutely loved that series. I think there's 3 seasons now. There was this fresh take on the female dominant character. It was amazing.
What's something people might be surprised to learn about you?
So a lot of people think because of my softer voice or the girliness about me that I'm just all soft and gentle, but I love riding dirt bikes and I love to wrestle. And I love to wrestle with my kids in the dirt or the grass, get totally muddy. I love those challenges.
I
Yeah.
love it. I used to dirt bike too back in the day.
Did you?
Yeah, Mission
Nice.
Raceway.
Amazing.
Loved it. Wop, wop.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, you're speaking my language.
I'm with you on that one.
It's so
Ginette,
cool.
can you let our listeners know what you have upcoming and how they can get in contact with you?
Yeah. So in January, I'm starting a Lightworker mentorship all levels. So it's a group of about 12 people. There's a few spots left where we dive into learning mediumship skills and connecting to spirit. We meet once a week, have an experience, share. It's so much fun. I've been doing this for a couple of years. So I have that new one opening up. And then people can find me on the website at avalonspirit.com. And as well, I do a lot of posting on YouTube under Ginette Biro Medium, and Instagram and Facebook, same Ginette Biro medium of content. So podcast, spirit wisdom, I'm kind of all over the place. So you can just Google me and figure out what resonates.
Ginette, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been so good to reconnect with you and to have you share your voice, your wisdom, and your light with listeners.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Connected Spirit isn't just a podcast, it's a remembering of who we are, a remembering of our connection to spirit, and a remembering that we are never walking this path alone. Mediumship isn't just about speaking with spirits. It's about deepening the connection to our own spirit, to one another, and to the energy that moves through everything. So as you leave this space, ask yourself, what part of this conversation stirred something within you? What connection is spirit inviting you to strengthen? If this episode spoke to you, please share it, leave a review, and connect with me on Instagram at Medium Courtney Dawson, or visit my website at mediumcourtneydawson.com. Your presence in this community matters, because connection isn't just about what we seek, it's what we are. Until next time, trust your spirit, trust the unseen world, and trust that you are always, always connected.